changi kompanyu shu. And let's do the 4 limited contemplations. May all beings have happiness and create the causes of happiness. May they all be free from suffering and creating the causes of suffering. May they find that noble happiness which can never be tainted by suffering. May they attain universal impartial compassion, free of worldly bias towards friends and enemies. Simchen damje dewatang dewe jutang den pa juchik, dungal tang dungal chichu tang draw wajuchik, dungal mepe dewa tampatang mindra wajuchik, nering chaktang nitang drawe tangom chempo lane pa juchik. So tonight, everybody, we're going to do the last session of feeding your demons through the ancient practice through the ancient wisdom of the chod practice. And I want us to really do a good session tonight so that all of you know which way you're going. And I hope you will get the book, Feeding Your Demons. But I want you to understand that book in terms of the real ancient chod practice. That's why Kathy's made a recording now, and when we've done a little bit of background again, we're going to do that practice. And then if any of you want it, you could get the copy of the practice. Can you send that to them, Kath, if they email you? Okay, so you can get the copy of the practice, and you can get a WhatsApp of the actual practice if you want to actually use it and do it yourself. And when you do it, it's very important that you're fully aware of what you're doing. And if you do it before you do the English version of Feeding Your Demons, I think it makes a very, very big difference because it gives it the whole atmosphere. So I want to just start off with a couple of things of Akong Rinpoche's before we go. And he asks the question in one of his books, is the bottle half empty or half full? And he says the mind is the source of all experience. And a negative mind will see things in a negative way. The bottle will be half empty. And a positive mind will see things in a positive way. The bottle is half full. And negative here is about being destructive, selfish, harmful, and acting without regard for the consequences. So that includes when someone's in front of you that's really, really difficult and that's really being awful to you, that you are able to look at that and see the mirror reflection. And next week, I'm going to do relationships and mirror-like wisdom because I think it's really a very important subject matter. And I'm going to the UK for 5 weeks next week. So I'll still do the Tuesday night, but I will still do sessions while I'm there, some sessions. And I've also got Annie Lamo's going to come and do a beautiful session. Chodden's going to come and do a session. We're going to have various different things. So everything will keep going while I'm gone. So it's really important. And the other thing that I want to read you is from the book, Only the Impossible is Worth Doing. And I think that it's about obstacles, okay? When Akong Rinpoche went into the retreats and spoke to all the retreatants, he made some incredible instructions to them. And he said, one of them, those who are unable to meditate due to misunderstanding of the Dharma or strong emotions, delusions, and obstacles arising, they will not be able to practice just because I say these words. However, you should see that obstacles may appear because you allow them and you even encourage them to appear. This is such an important thing for all of you to know. Obstacles are not started by anyone else. They arise only from our own minds. Remember that. We create them ourselves. And he was giving these instructions to the retreatants before they started their 4-year retreat. He said, It starts from a small thing, an idea, a feeling, a few words, but we repeat it again and again. And when a negative thing is repeated, it becomes an obstacle. Now, I want that sentence to sink in. When a negative thing is repeated, it becomes an obstacle. And he says, on the positive side, this is the time to dig for a tiny seed of the positive. You must try to develop that tiny seed day by day and watch it grow a little bigger. You should not try to get rid of the negative thoughts, emotions, or patterns of behavior. And of course, that includes the demons. Just leave them alone and take care of the seed of the positive. If you do this, you will get some results. And then he said to them, he said, your spiritual development will become a kind of preciousness, a form of nourishment, like food, which will sustain your own lives and allow you to nourish others. This does not necessarily mean becoming a Dharma teacher, but it's somehow due to genuine compassion that one may be recognized as different to others in a worldly situation. So people must see you and they must know that this person is different to the usual people that I meet in my life. Like sunshine, it is not necessary to use a lot of words to describe the sun. Everyone knows what it's like, okay? What is important is what is inside, not how many prayers and texts you've memorized, but an inner quality of genuine warmth. So whatever, can you manage, Kath? So whatever people may present to you, their anger, their jealousy, their hatred, even physical beating, he says, you just develop a big stomach to take it all without minding. And he says, surely to give Dharma talks has benefit, but what's most benefit is what you've developed within your own self. He says, so don't waste time. Don't use problems as an excuse. Be thankful for whatever experience comes. Obstacles, sickness, others' anger and blame. Appreciate all of it. You are the ones needing to be matured, needing to learn how to overcome the obstacles. And he says there, retreat is not for putting on a suit of armor to protect oneself from obstacles, but for learning to accept whatever comes. Once you start looking at obstacles, then everything becomes an obstacle. But if you stop looking at obstacles and learn to see the benefit in all situations, then everything becomes useful. Now, why I took that was because I really, really feel that it's very important as the base. You know, like Matthew, you said to me, you've been trying to practice that feeding your demons. But I want you tonight and over these 3 sessions, and those of you that have missed the others, get them. I want you to actually understand this deep thing of looking at all the negative things in your life and being able to see them as a mirror to you, which we'll talk about next week, but really understand them. And if I go back to the several WhatsApp texts that I got after last week's sessions, I think it's really important to share these with you, even if one of you are the ones that wrote it. Because one person, when I was talking about emptiness last week, heard nihilism, nothingness, okay, and became very concerned about what this true practice was. And she said, is it about detaching from all the pleasures of life? Because she wrote to me, it feels so scary because what else was there truly in life other than enjoying the pleasures of life? Okay, now that was most interesting because so many people in this world think, what is really worthwhile? I mean, you need to have fun, you need to have food, you need to have relationships, you need to go to raves, you need to socialize, you need to go to pubs, you need to get drunk, you need to do this, you need to do that. I really understand that. And nobody's asking you to stop all of that. But for her, I said, let's define now emptiness versus nihilism. Nihilism, okay? Nihilism means nothingness. Nothing is there. And that's scary because one asks, well, what about the people I love? What about nice things? What about nice food? There is something there. There is some I, some people, some kids, okay? But nihilism is what a lot of people have got, even concerning this virus. Like people say, there's nothing there. It's not even, I mean, I had one guy who really wrote to me and said, oh, this virus is a whole lot of made up, jargon and rubbish and all of that kind of thing. Anyway, it was a young guy and he died of coronavirus, okay, which is unbelievable because I couldn't believe that happened because, he just said there wasn't such a thing. And why wasn't I seeing people face to face when, he didn't want to come on this stupid Zoom? That's what he told me. So it's so interesting. And then he got coronavirus and he wrote to someone that I knew and said, I'm in a dark, deep hole. Okay. Now it's a pity because if you are in a dark, deep hole, that's where the nihilism is not very useful because, you're now experiencing something which you've made to be nothing. So there really is no way out for you. But when you look at the emptiness word, shunyata in Sanskrit, okay, I think that word should be translated maybe as voidness rather than emptiness. Emptiness is very apt, but the problem is that the way we've been conditioned, if you've got an empty fridge or an empty heart or an empty space, it's like a negative connotation. There's not anything there. But this emptiness in Buddhism, this shunyata, is a different thing. And I was defining it when we were doing the chair last week. But emptiness, just to go over it, means empty of a separate existence. Empty of a separate existence. In other words, there is something there. There's some me. There's some family. If I look around, there are 2 dogs and a husband sitting in the shrine room. There definitely is something there, but they only come about because of a multitude of causes and conditions. Now that's so important because as soon as there are multitude of causes and conditions, okay, then there is an interdependent existence. So this thing that you are looking at, this demon, this ugly thing that you are looking at is not solid. It only came about because of a whole lot of causes and conditions. That's how it came about, okay? It's not solid. It's changing every single minute. It's impermanent. So this I and me can enjoy it if it's something I happen to enjoy. But even when I'm enjoying it, I'm finally going to the UK to get all these new grandchildren and things like that. And I know that I will really enjoy them and have a good time looking at them and being with them and everything. But I know it's impermanent. And I know they live there, I live here. And I have to say goodbye, but even if they lived around, they're impermanent to me. And when you understand emptiness, what emptiness teaches us is to be non-attached to the outcome. That's the most important thing that I can give you. Non-attached to the outcome. So does that mean, okay, does that mean that we don't go into samsaric things. We don't enjoy them. We don't participate in them. Not at all. It means we're not completely attached to the outcome of what happens. And as it changes, as it is impermanent, as it is now based on these causes and conditions, and just now, those causes and conditions are going to go away. And then there are going to be other causes and conditions. And when you begin to understand this, then you see all your moods. I mean, think of your moods in a day. I mean, some of us, not some of you, can have 1,000 moods in a day. Okay, so we up because we got a raise at work, or we got a compliment, and we down because someone insulted us, and we up because things are going well, and we down because of this and this. We can't be attached to that. And that is where the basis of the chod practice comes in. And the second message that I got from someone, I just took 2 of them, was, how can I be compassionate to something I've tried my whole life to get rid of? How do I develop a compassionate heart when my whole life I've been trying to get rid of this damn demon? I mean, I turn away from it, not put my heart towards it. It's such an important question, that, because it takes time and a process to change your feeling towards it. It's a whole change within us that this chod practice teaches us. When we begin to understand and get what emptiness is, and this takes time, then we can see the whole potential of a circumstance, why it's there. And that starts changing our hearts. I'm going to give you examples in a moment. So like you mentioned last week, Diana, that actually emptiness means full of potential, because the fact that it's empty of a separate existence means you can change it. At any given moment, you can change it completely and totally. And you don't have to be weighed down with it. It's not cast in stone. And so you don't have to stay with it. And you know that beautiful story of the Dalai Lama, which I always go back to giving because I think it's such a wonderful story, even if you've heard it. But Howard Cutler was interviewing the Dalai Lama, and he asked if there was anything he regretted in his life. Dalai Lama told him that this old monk wanted to do this particular practice, which was for a younger person. So he told the monk, listen, you won't be able to do that practice in this lifetime. You'll have to wait till the next one, because this practice is not for someone elderly and you won't be able to. And the monk killed himself to be reborn, to be able to do the practice. So Howard Cutler asked the Dalai Lama, now, how did you deal with your regret? You know, some people have got demons of regret. They always regret things. They never get into the moment of dealing with things. And the Dalai Lama said, I didn't get rid of it. It's still here. It's still here. But it isn't associated with a feeling of heaviness or the quality of pulling me back. Now, that's what the chod practice is about. We fixate on our guilt, on our regrets, on our negative qualities, on all the things that we're not able to do with people. We fixate on it, okay? But that is not what this practice is about. This is where the 2 factors of the chod practice enter. The first one, which is the awakened heart, bodhicitta. The first one is bodhicitta, the awakened heart. What does that mean? It means our heart is awakened to all sentient beings as well as to ourselves. So when we realize that every single ugly person is our own mind's creation. So if we're sitting in a person next to a person that's impossible, We created that situation. We needed it. And we have to use our bodhicitta heart. And secondly, this is near the end of what I want to say from last week. So we spend all the time doing the practice and doing the thing. But the second thing that I was talking a lot about last night was the enlightened activity of pacification. Okay, Machik got it from her guru, who was Padampa Sangye, who was the master of the pacification of suffering. And I want you to get that. When you look at the 4 enlightened activities that then come together with the 5th one, which is action accomplishment, okay, these are activities spontaneously arising from your nature of mind, not your little narrow human part of your mind, okay? It's pacification, magnetizing, which means when you magnetize people into a positive state, into everything. Increasing is the 3rd one. I'm coming back to pacification. Increasing means that when you're doing an enlightened activity, you actually increase the goodness with that enlightened activity in lots of depths to these things. And the last one is called subjugating. That's when you bind those qualities, okay? But before you can bind them, you have to pacify them. You can't feed the baby without giving it a dummy or singing to it so it stops crying. Now that pacification is an enlightened activity. It's not telling an untruth to a person so that you placate them. That's not pacification, okay? It's not telling an untruth to placate them. Pacification means calming the other person or the demon that is internal. It can be external or internal, by a full understanding, almost being able to put yourself in their shoes. Where are they coming from? What are they doing? You're putting yourself in their shoes. So there's no fight. Sorry? Oh, okay, it was just some noise. So there's no fight. It's a total acceptance of where they are coming from. It's like empathy plus. Empathy isn't it. Empathy is a human activity. Pacification is a beyond me activity. And you know, I used to do an exercise in many groups many years ago, and it helped me so much. Sometimes when I'm going to mute everybody again so that we don't have everybody's noises. Let's see.
Teresa.
Oh, Teresa, just there we go. That's better because we always hear your whole household, Teresa. What's going on? Doesn't matter. It's good. We've got to be tolerant. You see, you've got to mute yourself, T. Just mute yourself so we can't hear all the noises in your house. Okay. So what you do, oh shame. Okay, she's there. Just mute yourself and then you'll be okay because I've muted everybody. If you go on to mute, you'll be fine. So what we are dealing with here, I used to do an exercise where you put the person in front of you, and we'll do it next week. You put the person in front of you, then you make yourself tiny. You walk over to them, you climb in through their heads, and you see the world through their eyes, and you see yourself through their eyes. Oh my goodness, what a difference when your awakened heart really goes out to them, because that's when you really, really see what you need to see and what you need to hear. Placating someone is agreeing with them, even though you really don't feel any agreement, because you're scared of their power, like the Trump lackeys. I mean, sometimes, you know, when Trump is given an outright lie that the whole world knows is a lie, and they agree. Now, they might see that as a pacification, but it's not. Because if you agree with somebody who is really creating karma That's not pacification. Okay. Pacifying takes time because we need to separate from the I, me, that has so many needs, so many opinions, and so much conditioning. The I, me says, I like this, I don't like this. This is not right, this is right. This is a demon I need to get rid of. I need to stand up and fight this negative person. I'm always afraid of being tainted. Our conditioning in childhood tells us how to respond to things. And sometimes when you hear an internal voice or someone external, there's a lot more to the story. The criminal is a lost being, probably fearful, probably pretending. The control freak is a frightened person who's so scared to let go of that real tight control. Okay, that person is scared. The addict is so scared of a whole lot of things in life. The saboteur or the procrastinator is someone who's so scared of not being successful. So they procrastinate because then they don't have to face it. I've had so many procrastinators that I've done these practices with. Procrastination, when people put things off for another day, it's a fear.
Can I just jump in there about procrastination? Yes. I think it's also a fear of success.
Yes.
I don't think it's only a fear of failure.
No, I
think
said
it's a fear of success.
I said that. I said they don't feel successful enough. That's the thing, absolutely.
And a fear of it, yeah.
And a fear of failure and a fear of anything. So they don't do what they have to do. Absolutely. So it's time to look at that. So Pema Chodron says like this. She says, there's a teaching that says behind all the hardening and tightening and rigidity of the heart, there's always fear. But if you touch fear, behind fear, there's a soft spot. And if you touch that soft spot, you find the vast blue sky. You find that which is ineffable, ungraspable, and unbiased, that which can support and waken us at any time. And Jamtrul Rinpoche says, if you fully understand karma at the deepest level, you will not only have compassion toward all beings who are presently suffering, but you will also have compassion toward all beings who are harming others, as they are creating the causes for their own future suffering. So important, both of those quotes, you know. And if you do go beyond the fear, it's absolutely amazing. So I want us to do the chirp practice, Kathy. I'm going to take my drum. And then I want to just give you one example of feeding the demons. And then we only need a half an hour to really, I want you to do a deep practice of feeding one of your own demons, one of your own internal demons. But let's do it properly, not just superficially. So, Kati, if you can get on that chair practice, and then whoever wants it can get it. I'm going to get it on my phone.
So, Mal, and everyone else, I have added both the text and the recording to the chat. So if there's any problems with saving that or adding it, try and save it now inside our meeting. And then, Mel, if you'd like, if it helps, I can actually do both now. So I can share the text and play the audio from my side.
Oh, that's fine. Would you like to do that?
Yeah.
That's absolutely fine.
Because I realized now when I downloaded it, it started playing. So I thought, okay, it does actually work, yes.
You can actually work it. No, then I'm going to put my drum away and you do it with your drum. That's absolutely fine. I'll be very, very happy. And then all of you try it.
No, you can still play. Yeah, just play it. And so when I was doing the recording yesterday, because I'm not coordinated with the drum and the bell. So Breville got me a chopstick from the kitchen, and I just banged. I've got the same drum, and I was just banging on it, ringing the bell because it was.
I've got to mute myself. That's the thing, because if I sing, then I'm going to be at another pace to you, aren't I?
We can see how it goes.
All right. Okay. But what I want to say to all of you, that when you do the practice, okay, and you'll have the drums and bell on the practice when you get it, I want you to just close your eyes. Let's just do a moment's meditation, okay? And actually see what you are doing with the practice. And tonight you'll be able to read the English properly because we've now Burns typed it, so you'll be able to see it properly. And I want you to see that what this is all about is taking all the negative situations that Ekong Rinpoche was talking about, and you actually going to feed them so that they change, so that they transform. But before you start the practice, you have to open your heart. So you have to make a bodhicitta heart, that I am open to everything. That with this virus, with this pandemic all over the world, I'm opening my heart. Remember that Matchik went into all the pandemics. They did the chirp practice and the pandemics were cured and they never got the disease. So I want you to actually, before you start this practice, only take you 5 minutes. I want you to really, really, really open your hearts. Okay, Kath, I'll try. If it doesn't work, I'll stop and you just do yours, okay?
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Kath, will it not be easier if I just play your tape here and you mute yourself? It might work better, Kath. You know that,
because I've got it on and I can start playing it and see if everyone hears it. It's
okay.
on my computer.
Okay. Okay, go. Go on. I will pick out. You see, we can't both do it because
Can't do it together.
we can't do it together. So you do it. We'll all listen. You do it. Go on.
Okay, so I'm just starting it up again.
Okay.
So this is everything. So
Can you make that a little bigger? Can you make that a little bigger for people?
So what I'm playing, in this text is exactly what everybody has. So this is no different than what you all have in the chat.
I'm not going to do mine because I think that we just do it with yours, because otherwise it doesn't check.
Sorry, Kathy, have you just sent this to us? Is that what you've just sent us?
Yes, it's in the chat, the meeting chat. If you open up the chat, you'll see it. Yeah, you'll see the 2 attachments there.
Okay. If you just click on the attachment, it'll download and you can save it immediately, both the video file and the audio file. You just automatically save in your downloads.
And this feeds the 4 Maras. Klesha Mara, which is the negative emotions, Mara of the Lord of Death, which says everything is permanent, the Deva Mara, which is form, feeling, perceptions, mental formation. All the Maras are fed. The Mara of the Son of Man, who says pleasure is all I want out of life. You're feeding all of them when you're doing this practice. So you go for it, Kath. I'm going to mute myself. Go.
And also, so when you're downloading the audio file, just don't open it with Word or anything like that. Open it with Media Player, or depending on what computer you have, but open it so that it's a media document so that you can play it.
Kath, we can't hear you.
Oh, is it?
We can't hear you. Just hang on. Just let me do it like I wanted to do it in the first place. It'll be much easier. And just do it like that. You let me do with your voice and me, it'll work much better. Maybe because I'm hosting it, I don't know. But they can keep that on. So let's do it. Let's go now, everybody, and do it. And then we'll just do it once like that. Okay. That's purifying. So that's it. That's your little practice, which you can do at home. Thank you, Kat. That was obviously, I don't know why you can't really do it if you, I think unless you.
It's weird. Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. But I mean, those who don't want to do it, that's absolutely fine. Don't do it. But if you do want to do it, then take it. And if you have a problem downloading, ask me or ask Kathy and we'll send it to you. Okay. So now let's get down to doing the practice. And in order to do it, but I hope now, is everybody happy with what I've said now? Is everybody happy with the mystical part of the chirp practice being applied to the Western practice? Are you all happy with that? And anybody unhappy or anybody want to ask anything? Anyone? Okay, so let's just start with one of her tiny stories. I'm just going to give it to you so you have a really good idea, okay? Because if you understand, then it's much easier to do the practice. So she was feeding with this guy, the demon of depression. And a lot of people suffer from depression. Okay. She said, this is one of those demons that can be so pervasive that it's hard to localize in your body. Finding the motivation to feed a depression demon may be difficult too, because depression can be so immobilizing. Such a demon often contains various feelings that are lumped together. Grief, anger, hopelessness, despair, and fear may all be present. Depression can be temporary, or it can be a chronic illness, okay, so that you can't function normally, and it casts a dull blur over everything. And we can spend days, weeks, or even years, or even lifetimes under the influence of this demon. And you know, it's interesting because she gave the example of the Taliban woman already in 2008. And I mean, now they're back. And she said there was such a high rate of suicide and depression among Afghan women. And I hope that doesn't happen again now, because that was when the Taliban were in power. But when the problem of depression is not altered by a change in the situation that might have triggered it, then it's become an inner demon. And an inner demon is one which we carry with us, no matter what the outer circumstances are. So sometimes people are in good outer circumstances, but they're still very depressed, okay? And so she was working with Jason. Jason was the executive director of an organization for unemployed young people. His chronic depression led him to withdraw completely from his wife and 2 kids. He became quiet, felt disconnected from everyone to the point that he was almost unable to practice his profession. And he described his experience to his therapist as the feeling of having no thoughts, as though his brain were empty. In social situations, he stopped speaking altogether. His therapist suggested he should try doing the feeding the demons, okay? And he first practiced feeding his depression demon the day after he and his wife had hosted a dinner party, and he could not even participate in that dinner party. He was totally withdrawn while everybody was talking. And thinking back on the night's events, he felt a lump in his throat. Everything was contracted, the muscles in his body, and he felt worthless and ashamed. And the color he associated with this sensation was blue. And the demon he saw in front of him was as large as the entire room. It had scaly blue-green iridescent skin, and 30 to 40 limbs emanated from its body, like stars, like rays from a star. And it used these extremities as arms and legs, but in place of hands and feet, they had hard spikes. That's how he saw the demon. And you've got to try and see if you can see your demon. Its head sat on top of one of those limbs, and its small calculating eyes looked very coldly at Jason. Now you can all understand that when Jason examined the demon more closely, he discovered it was pulsating, its extremities undulating in a constant rhythm. When asked what it wanted from Jason, the demon said it wanted his company. It wanted to get close to him. When asked what it needed, it said it just needed to be friends in order to feel lively and content. But when Jason returned to his original seat and the therapist said, feed your demon, he said he was repulsed by the demon and he didn't want anything to do with it. To motivate him, the therapist explained that the animosity between him and the demon had existed for so long, and if he didn't give the demon something, nothing would ever change. Jason then agreed to offer the demon some closeness, but he did so half-heartedly and was not willing to offer it liveliness or contentment. So they decided they'd continue next time. And Jason's example, she says, shows that if you don't understand that feeding your demons doesn't make them worse, but actually releases them, you may have fear or resistance, and you'll have to understand the theory well enough to trust it and try and use it again. So during the next session, Jason became a little more open. And when he visualized the demon, it looked the same, but it was no longer pulsing, but its cold eyes still stared at Jason. I've had lots of people that didn't have faces when the demons didn't have faces. So you don't have to have a face with your demon, okay? The therapist tried to encourage to go forward, and Jason eventually agreed. When he identified with the demon, it turned out the demon needed Jason's happiness in order to accept itself the way it was and to develop self-assurance. And when he changed places with the demon, he didn't want to give him something. He was still distrustful. But with a few minutes of encouragement from the therapist, that's why it's harder to do it by yourself, I know. But with a few more encouragement, he started to feed the demon a little joy. And he saw the happiness as a dark blue fluorescent light, which gradually allowed him to flow to the demon. The more he let it flow, the more he felt touched. And eventually his long-held tears started to flow too. So these tears had been waiting and waiting and waiting. And now these masses of tears came, okay? And gradually he saw that the demon was completely satisfied. And at the end of the practice, Jason felt peaceful, whole, and at one with the world. He took the blue pillar on which he had visualized the demon into his arms, hugged it, and wept again. Then he invited the ally to appear, and the ally was a blue-green elf who pledged to teach him joy and connect him to nature. At the end of the session, Jason felt very open. His eyes were radiant. At the same time, he also felt disorientated because this experience had shaken his negative philosophy of life. But in the following weeks, he no longer avoided making contact with people, and he felt much more connected. And his depression receded after several sessions. And he realized that his philosophy of life had been formed by his depression, and he became willing to give it up. Because, you know, when you've got these demons, as much as you sometimes hate them and want to fight them, they also serve a purpose of stopping you from doing things in your life for various reasons. And so I really want you to do your work now. So I want everybody, we're going to do your own demons. I'll give you ideas. I'll help you along. But I want everybody, even you, to sit. You got no demons. My husband hasn't got any demons. You know, I'm his demon. Then do it to me. I'll enjoy it. Okay. I'm his demon. Okay. So I want everybody to breathe in and breathe out and come to this moment. Make yourself comfortable. Okay. Make yourself comfortable. I would love it if you could switch on your cameras so that I can watch your work, if that's possible. If it's not, then I really understand. But if it's possible, switch on your cameras so I can watch you. And if it's possible, I don't know about you two, try and put 2 chairs in the room so that when you become the demon, you can go and change your chair and go into the demon's seat. So if you can put 2 chairs in your room, that's great. Okay, it'll really help you a lot. But I want you now to get into this whole mood. Okay, so I want you to begin by I want you to see this as a meditation practice. And I want you to take 9 deep abdominal breaths. So starting from now, which means breathing very deeply until you can feel your abdomen expand. Place your hands on your stomach and notice it rising and falling. This guarantees that you are breathing very deeply, which will aid in your relaxation. As you inhale during the first 3 breaths, imagine your breath traveling to any physical tension you are holding in your body. And then imagine the exhalation carrying this tension away. As you inhale the next 3 breaths, imagine the breath traveling to any place in your body where you feel you are holding emotional tension. You can put your hand on it if you want. And imagine the exhalation carrying this tension out of your body. And during the last 3 breaths, inhale into the part of your body where you are holding mental tension, such as worries, thoughts about what you're doing, or fears that can't be successful. Breathe into the place in your body where you are holding the mental tension, and then release it with your exhalation. So you've done 9 deep breaths, and you're letting all the tension out. Every single bit of it, emotional, mental, and physical tension. Now, once you feel settled and fully present, take a moment to relax and focus on your motive for undertaking this practice. It would be a really good idea if you do it with your bodhicitta heart. I'm doing this practice to benefit myself and all beings. And may they all be free from suffering. May I be free from suffering. This motive is important in shifting your focus from the ego's needs to compassion. It broadens the scope of your actions to not a selfish action. Patrul Rinpoche said, what makes an action good or bad? Not how it looks, not whether it's big or small, but the good or evil motivation behind it. Okay, so now you are ready for the practice. So we are going to do step 1, which is finding the demon. So I want you all to decide which demon you want to wish to work on. It might be depression, it might be anger, it might be a demon that doesn't speak up for itself. It might be a placating demon. It might be a procrastination. It might be a saboteur. It might be a lack of self-worth and always putting yourself down. It might be too much self-worth, that you keep on doing things that really hurt other people. Your demon can be any of these things, and it might very well be fear. And you might look very deeply, because your anger might come out of fear. It might be an addict demon. It might be a food demon. It might be anorexia or bulimia. It might be overeating. It might be any of these demons. I want you to decide which demon you want to work on. And then locate where you feel this demon in your body. So try and take the biggest demon you have. Might be insecurity, might be control. And just in your mind, mentally attune to where you hold the demon in your body, okay? And you might even like to think of a recent incident that happens with that particular demon, okay? Now, don't think too hard. Once you decide on the demon and you've found where you've located it in the body, where do you feel it most? Do you feel it in your gut, in your heart, in your neck? Do you feel it in your face? Do you feel it in your feet? Some people feel it in their hands. just locate the demon in your body. Okay. And once you've found the demon's location in your body, of course, you know which demon you're working on, you are going to begin to explore it. Okay. Here are some questions you need to ask yourself. What color is my demon? What shape does it have? Don't think. Just give it the shape in your mind very quickly, because if you think, you're getting the human mind to take over. Just whatever comes to mind, that's what you do. Does it have a texture? What's its temperature? If it could emit a sound, what would the sound be? If it had a smell, what would the smell be? So just ask yourself that demon. And then in step 2, let your unconscious mind produce the image. Don't edit it. Don't think about it. Just see that demon sitting in the chair opposite you. Okay. See it. Don't think too much about it. You just put it in the chair. It might be a blob. It might be it might be ugly. It might even be not so ugly. It might be a person you know, but it's not the person we're feeding. But your demon, your inner demon, may even look like a person. Okay. And then ask yourself, as you're looking at this demon across the way for you, what size is it? Does it have arms or legs? And if so, what are they like? What color is it? What is the surface of its body like? Does it have an age? Does it have a gender? What's its emotional state? How do I feel looking at it? Make eye contact if your demon has a face. Look at that demon and notice the expression in its eyes, because then you bring it to life and you make a connection. Now remember, you are doing this with your true motivation. So in your lovely heart, you're looking and you're thinking, what does this demon need? And you ask the demon 3 questions. I don't mind if you do it aloud, you're all muted. But you ask the demon, what do you want from me? What do you need from me? How will you feel if you get what you need? Now, quickly, don't ponder those questions. Change places. If you haven't got 2 chairs, then just change how you're sitting so you know you're in the other chair. But try and change your position, because now you are the demon. And imagine what it's like being that demon that you have described. So if it's a control demon, look at it. Okay? And now you go and sit in the other chair. It's very good when you do this by yourself to have another chair and go and sit in it. So you know when you're in that chair, it's me. And when you're in that chair, it's the demon. Now, as the demon, I want you to say to you, what I want from you is, what I need from you is, and when my need is met, I will feel such and such. So talk back to you. What I want from you is, what I need from you is, and when my need is met, I will feel. I mean, when you ask if it's an insecure demon, you might ask him, what do you need? And he may say, what I actually need is to feel secure. So feel what the demon needs, even if it is a cancer demon or an ill demon. Ask that demon what it needs. Just listen. Listen to what that demon is saying, what it needs for you. Okay, now you return back to your own chair. Okay, so now you're back with yourself. And we've reached the crucial moment where you actually feed the demon. Okay, take a moment to settle back in your own body before you envisage the demon in front of you again. First, separate your awareness from your body so that if your consciousness is going outside your body, you know, in the chod practice, your consciousness completely leaves the body in the power practice. So you feel your consciousness leaving the body, okay, completely. And then you can visualize Vajrayogini, one of the dakinis, okay, is overseeing the transformation of the body. So you're watching it from outside of your body. And that beautiful dakini is chopping up your body. I know I always have such pleasure when I watch it, when I'm doing the chod practice, because that dakini is turning your whole body. You are watching from this beautiful dimension out of your body, and your body is slowly being transformed into nectar. You can visualize this. You can allow your body to dissolve. You can be out of it. Okay, you can dissolve it in any way. The nectar is usually liquid, but it also might be a gaseous substance or whatever arises from your imagination. Some people envision their nectar as steam or smoke, while others may imagine it's something like cream or even ice cream. So you're watching your body from above being dissolved into whatever the nectar is. And now you're going to give this demon, you're going to watch carefully as you take this nectar and you actually feed it into the demon. So as you're feeding it, you're thinking, I'm giving you, if it's a demon of control, I'm giving you all that you need to feel secure. I'm giving you the nectar of my body so that you could feel no longer need to be disruptive. I'm giving you absolutely everything. Drink, demon, drink, 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 drink. And imagine that demon becoming totally satisfied, totally satisfied. Now watch that demon. And it may take a couple of sessions with you. You could do this on your own. But what happens is the demon usually starts transforming into an ally. But what you saw with Jason was it took a number of sessions because he was still resistant to letting go of that depression, which had become something he was holding on to. But the ally can be an animal, a child, a bird, or a familiar person, or the demon may have turned into smoke, or a puddle, or disintegrated, or there may be something in its place. Now you ask this demon now, how will you help me? How will you protect me? What pledge or commitment do you make to me? I've given you everything that you want. How can I gain access to you? And you can be the new ally when you manage to change it. Don't falsify this. You've got to really see that demon. And you've really got to see. And then you've got to hear what the demon says. I will help you by. I will remind you many of the demons that I helped people to feed. The demon would say after the work, and not always after the first session, after a number of sessions. the demon will say, well, okay, I won't tell you how bad you are all the time. I'll just remind you to be careful in that situation so you don't get hurt. And so the two of them were working beautifully together. The saboteur, which people have fed many times, became someone who said, I'll just tinge something into you when you're going to do a new job, just so you remember to be cautious. And that's how their relationship happened. Or if you've got a demon that where you feel the demon saying to you all the time, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. So now you're looking straight at that demon. You're not worthy enough. And you're asking this demon, what do you need? And you're giving it everything. And now the demon's not going to say to you every day, oh, you're such an idiot. You didn't do it correctly. Why did you do it this way? What did you do it like that for? That demon is just going to become an ally who helps you and who really helps you with that particular problem because you created it and now you're creating another one. Now, just the last aspect of the whole process, and then we could talk. You and the demon, you take a deep breath, like you do at the end of every practice. You rest in awareness. You just dissolve the whole thing into pure emptiness. No me, no demon, no one else. Just pure relaxation, peacefulness, and no more domination. And you rest in this beautiful, pure awareness. Okay, I know that you're going to need to do this a couple of times, but it works amazingly. I've done it with a lot of people. I've done it with myself on retreat, and it really, really works. And you don't need to do long practice, but you need to open your heart. You need to do the 9 breaths. You need to visualize which demon you want to feed. And if it is resistant, it's okay. You can do it again. You could do it as many times as you really want to. So questions, comments, let's hear from you. Just unmute yourselves. Anything.
Mel, the questions for me, the questions came a bit too fast. I'm a slower conceiver than the speed of the questions. So I need to do this on my own. Because my way of conceiving is very much slower than all the questions coming all the time. So yeah. that's I'm just
100%. And that's why everybody should have a book, Feed Your Demons by Sultram Alioni, because it really helps to get that book. You can even download it, I'm sure, onto a, what do you call those things?
Kindle.
I'm sure you can get it on Kindle as well. Kindle. And then she gives you those instructions and you can have them. Look, it is easier to do it with a therapist or a friend because they are there. I've watched. Sometimes people want to give up like halfway through the process, and I've pushed them a little bit and pushed them a little bit and encouraged them. Come on, let's look at this demon once and for all. And I really, really think it's a very important process. And I think that, yes, for sure, do it long. I can't do it long, on Zoom with all of you, but you can take your whole time to do it and look at it. But it really, really works because it is changing your whole attitude into not seeing things as obstacles. Kath, did you want to say something?
Yeah, it was just a bit weird because my demon when I asked what it wanted, it said it wanted more like spiritual space.
Okay. And what did you say? What did you tell it? Do you agree with it?
Yeah. No, well, my demon was a slothful demon or a lazy demon. So it was
Very interesting.
very interesting.
Because a lazy demon is somebody who just chills out, and that is you often, and you wait till the last minute when I asked you, please record this. So 2 minutes before we come in, she goes and records it. And that's so interesting. And what do you think lies beneath a lazy demon? It's interesting. Is it a little bit sometimes of condemning of yourself, or not always sure?
Yes, putting myself down or making excuses or blaming.
Yeah.
Do you think it could be also lazy? Could it be a fear of commitment as well? You know, fear of if I do something, by the mere fact there is activity, there is visibility. And if I'm visible, then I'm vulnerable.
Yeah.
And also accountable.
Yes.
Accountability. Okay. Anyone else? It's interesting. Work with that lazy demon. See what lies behind it.
Yeah,
Why?
I don't have time to be lazy at the moment, actually. So I'm working on it. Yeah. Seeing that it's come forward, I'll work with it.
Very good. And Ross, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, last week when I did it, the demon came up just absolutely disgusting. And I actually talked to Mel about how I could develop even a modicum of compassion for it. And it was just gross. If you Sigourney Weaver and Alien, it's that sort of demon. I mean, it's not the sort of thing you go and sit in a chair with. But today, it was a lot better.
Most demons aren't things you go and sit in the chair with, because our demons spring up. We're not even aware that they're there. You can't believe how many people I've actually taken and said, you know, this demon keeps coming up. Let's work with it. Let's get to know it. And you've got to get to know it slowly. And then you're looking at pacification, because always when you look at an ugly person, okay, there's always something behind it. There's always something behind it. Fear that people won't accept him. You've got the perfectionist demon. I mean, the perfectionist demon, underneath it is horrific anxiety. If I don't do it perfectly, then I'm going to be really, you know, it will not be acceptable. And then it doesn't start with the parents who demand perfection. It starts for us in previous lifetimes, which then catapult you into parents who demand perfection. And then those parents who demand perfection are just bringing out that demon, that imprint, that negative imprint that you've got inside you. So even if you have to go and sit with it every day and look at it and put the question mark, go back to my thing of that junior school teacher who said she never puts a cross at her children's work. She puts a question mark. I loved it. And she said, she's asking, I haven't got the same answer as you, but how did you get to yours? Like, who are you, demon? Who are you? What is it you want from me? Why do you keep coming to me in my dreams, in my life, everything? What do you need? And then from that quite fierce tone, you start to really understand how you created that internal demon. And then from your internal demon, then people who are similar to your demon come into your life, which is so amazing. Now, Matthew, you've done lots of demon work. And just tell me now what, maybe you want to share something, maybe you want to give, tell us.
I wouldn't say I've done lots of it. The like one thing that comes to mind is, and I remember reading this in Tillstrom's book, Feeding Your Demons, is that it does require quite a lot of regular practice. And I think she says up to 30 days. So try and do it every day for 30 days. It's not a long practice. I found for me when I got sort of halfway, and I felt the same as who was saying it? Lindy was saying it's a lot of questions, it's a lot of take in. So you really have to go. I find I have to go at my own pace, and sort of go quite slowly. I struggled to visualize the demons initially. It was almost like there was a bit of denial, and tonight it was a lot easier. I've also done a lot of other things outside of this. So that compassion, that awareness and acceptance is a big thing. And if I really struggled with that in the beginning. So for me personally, when I get over that, don't try and think about it too hard. You said that really resonated with me. Don't overthink it. Don't rationalize it. Don't judge it. Just let it be. That was a hard one for me.
Yeah.
And when you get there, then I felt like I could sort of, almost visualize it a little bit better. I could identify it, but I still judge it. So, halfway through, I'm asking the question, what do you want from me? What do you need from me? How will you feel when you get these things? It's not genuine. I don't feel that it's, I'm asking genuinely. I'm not getting a genuine answer, so I can't proceed.
Yeah, and you know what you're saying is really, really important, because that's why when you've got two chairs, see, if you're sitting in one chair, as a lot of you are on the Zoom, it's very difficult, because when you actually do the practice, what I do when people do it, when I used to do it, in the days when you had people physically present with you, and I do it on Zoom with people as well. But in the days when people were physically present, it's very, very interesting, because I would make them go and sit in the demon's chair for quite a long time. Because by sitting in that chair, you start to feel what that demon feels. I mean, what it must be like to be that demon inside you, always reminding you of something awful and everything else all the time. And so I think what you're saying is very important, that when you go and sit in the other chair, it's amazing, because that's where you actually learn about that demon and learn to have compassion. I mean, think of it. All our demons come out of our experiences, even if they are self-created, but they come out of that. Did you want to say something, Henry?
Hello. Not
Hello.
really. I just one of my demons is eating a lot of chocolates, actually, and I don't think I have a serious problem. But
go next to Kathy. She'll get you. Yours and Kathy's can
If you
get
change
you.
chairs, then the chocolate's not there.
But okay, the chocolate demon is, they're all eating demons are filling a space. Okay, because that sugar demon, it's like as though it's going to really make me feel better, And so when you're like quite addicted to it, it's a very interesting one, because it really.
But it's yeah, I hear you. Sorry. I hear you. But then I also have an enemy for the chocolate demon that I've created, which is it's not a demon, it's an angel, the exercise angel. Because I exercise myself again. I have angels as well, not just demons.
Well, I would like to meet your exercise angel and let it meet my exercise demon. Okay, because the exercise demon says you will exercise every single day, whether you want to or not. And I can absolutely assure you that I don't want to, but I exercise every day. So it's a tyrant. My exercise demon is a tyrant, and I don't like it. And some days I want to say, cool it. Okay, cool it. I don't feel like doing exercise. I'm tired, but I still do it because that demon, mine's a demon, an exercise demon. Okay, anyone else want to say anything?
If I can say something, if I can just share something, because I'll have to do a lot of work on it. And I didn't realize really I had to do a lot of work. I've always known that I've got fears. And I don't think it's different to anyone else in their fears.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what I saw here, and I'm completely aware of, is like an amorphous shadow-ish thing. And you are asking me direct, detailed questions, which means that I've got to give the detail of it more attention. Okay. That's all I'm saying, Mel, because fear can cover so many huge everything. And I don't know where to go. It's like, oh my heavens, like, am I going to nitpick little scars and re-pick scabs and read this and that? I'm just, you know.
Yeah, but you know what? Listen, everybody, I'm really happy to help with this. I'm really happy. Like if you're stuck somewhere, you want to ask me a question. I do audio, you know, audio WhatsApp, so it's quick, not typing on the WhatsApp because then it takes too long. But if any of you want to ask me questions about your particular things, with pleasure, I'm prepared to try and do, you know, an audio to try and help you a little bit with it. But just remember, everybody, this takes time. It's a whole new attitude. And you just go back to the church where Machik was meditating, and she went out of the shrine room onto the top of this water where this naga was, and it was a real monster, and nobody went near that water pool because of this monster. And when she was in this beautiful aware state, and when she saw the monster, she just automatically felt, I want to feed him. I don't want to have a war with him. Nobody could come near that water. And in that aware state, she dissolved her body and fed him. And he became her protector. And that's Guru Rinpoche's, you know, his subjugating activity. But he always tries in the beginning to pacify. And pacifying is really understanding where that demon is coming from. So work with it. And next week, we will do the relationships with the mirror-like wisdom, so that you can look at how your demons also affect your relationships, which are really important. Because a lot of people, for example, if you've got an insecurity or you've got an anxiety, it affects your relationships with people because you're always insecure and you're always demanding they do this, they do that, and they mustn't go away from you and they mustn't treat you in this way. Otherwise, your insecure demon comes up. So it's really important to look at that too. So let's end here. It'll be next week. We'll do a session, and then I'm going to leave the next day. But I will be around and about, and I'll be on WhatsApp all the time. And we've got to go to Dublin, and it really looks like at the moment they're saying on the 7th of October. They're probably going to take South Africa off the red list. Can you believe it? And we're leaving on the 6th of October. It doesn't help me. And the aeroplanes, if they do take us off, the aeroplanes won't give you refunds. So you can't change your flights. You can't go direct. You have to still go via. So it's such a mess and so stupid. But the thing is that I will be there and I will be available and I will be on WhatsApp and you can contact me, but I will be here next week still. I'm only leaving on the Wednesday. So I'll stay afterwards if anybody wants to ask me anything, but let's dedicate for all suffering sentient beings everywhere on this planet. It's really, really difficult times now. So through the virtue of this goodness, may I obtain omniscience, overcome all adversity, thereupon liberating beings from the ocean of existence. Sorry, let me just mute you so that we can do it. Thereupon liberating beings from the ocean of existence, which is rocked by the waves of birth, aging, sickness, and death. Sonam die tamche zipane topne nepe dranam pamshene jeganachi bala propaye sipe sole doa warsho. So I hope that you can all